You are listening to the Centropic Oracle, an audiobook podcast of science fiction and fantasy short stories that make you think and feel.
Lizzy's Last Chance by Jeff H. Little Lizzy Jin's time had come, and she had blown wishes 1 and 2 spectacularly. Now it was her last chance. "I want to be rich," her first had said. Lizzy granted the man's request and poof, he was a billionaire, complete with mansion and several yachts. As far as anyone knew, his life would be long and carefree. "It's the most popular one," Mr. Jin bemoaned. "Why didn't she turn him into Bernie Madoff or someone?" "I usually crush them under 100 million quarters," Lizzy's eldest sister Barbara stated. Eden, the Jin's middle daughter, grinned. "I turn him into Haagen-Dazs." "Give her time," Mrs. Jin said calmly. "She still has 2 more chances." A week passed, and then Lizzy's second came around, which should have been a gimme. Fame. But Lizzy had made the woman into a successful pop singer, no strings attached. "Ah!" Mr. Jin yelled. "Come on, Mrs. Muammar Gaddafi or Bill Cosby. What's wrong with our girl?" "I like to do members of the 27 Club," Barbara commented. Eden licked her lips. "I make 'em into Philly cheesesteak." "Don't worry, she still has 1 more," Mrs. Jin reassured. But as she spoke, a drop of sweat ran down her forehead and fell onto the floor. As a result of Lizzy's failures, the family doubled their efforts, prepping her all night as well as all day. What do you do if someone asks for power? Well, smash the individual with train engines or strike them with lightning. Or if they want invisibility, turn them into the wind or electromagnetic waves. If their wish is for immortality, of course, everlasting life without youth was the standard, although the Jins were partial to lobster transformation. And they ran Lizzy through cheats that regional accents could afford, like turning someone into a tree if they wanted to be popular, or mishearing the first syllable in omnipotent. Lizzy's family even made her practice leading questions. If someone wants love, a frustratingly straightforward request, Lizzy could inquire if they wanted to just be in love or to be madly in love. And then, bam, clinical insanity and psychiatric commitment. Not everything was above board, but desperate times called for desperate measures. More nights and days passed, and then soon enough it was time. Get it right, or be doomed to live in her lamp forever. And who did Lizzy end up facing but a little boy, not much older than she, who believed that he'd made a delightful discovery while digging in the sand on the beach. "A pet might be nice," the boy thought out loud. Lizzy nodded, thinking. "Perfect! So many possibilities!" Mr. Jin exclaimed. The family was watching from the top of a nearby hill, clutching one another and praying fervently to every spirit and demon they knew. "Snakes, do snakes," one sister whispered. "Or spiders," murmured the other. "Or give him a cat, like a ravenous tiger or lion," Mrs. Jin screamed. But as Lizzy went through the spells, the boy got too specific. "Like, I want a dog," he said. And then worst of all, "like one of those cute, skinny, long ones. A wiener dog." The Jins' mouths went agape. "It's too specific," they cursed. Both girls started to cry, knowing that this was the last they'd ever see their little sister. Very soon she'd be condemned to a life of insufferably cramped quarters and infinite servitude. Mrs. Jin began to wail. "Okay, 1 moment," Lizzy said to the boy. Her brow ruffled. She tapped her chin with an index finger. Then she murmured incantations, snapped her hands, and poof! With wet faces, the family embraced. "I guess she wasn't destined to be with us after all." "Oh, poor little Lizzy. I'm going to miss her so much." Mrs. Jin wanted one final glimpse of her youngest. She wiped her eyes, looked up and across, and found Lizzy on the beach in the clearing smoke. She blinked several times. "Hey, everyone!" Mrs. Jin shouted. Lizzy's lamp was at her feet, and it was no longer bright and alluring. No golden cuffs encircled her wrists, No horrible sash was about her waist or fez atop her head. She had succeeded in proving her unworthiness, and thus was free from her congenital curse. Free to come and go from her lamp as she pleased, free to cause mischief when she liked, or to rest if she liked. So in short, she was free for the rest of her limitless, immortal life. Perhaps it was the stress of the ordeal, but Lizzy's face was blank, exactly like that of the boy standing across from her. The djinn searched the beach for his pet, anticipating an attack or other form of misfortune that Lizzy had miraculously contrived, but the beach was empty. Then Mrs. Djinn saw the boy's hands, where he clutched a Vienna wiener inside a bun topped with relish. Well, that would work. Hot dog! The youngest djinn looked to the hill, raised a small fist into the air, and gave a solemn thumbs up. The family, rejoicing loudly, gave thumbs up back. The boy, with confusion wide across his face, walked away. After several steps he stopped, however, shrugged, and lifted the wiener up to his mouth. He took a bite and resumed walking. And after a few steps he began to choke. And that's when Lizzy finally smiled. She was going to fit into the family after all.
We hope you enjoyed Lizzy's Last Chance by Jeff H., read by Jill Raymond. If you'd like to learn more about the author and narrator of this story or make a donation to them, follow the story page link in the description. Pledge your support to us on Patreon for cool rewards and to help us bring you more stories. If you would like to submit a story for consideration or apply to be a narrator, a link to our submission guidelines is in the description.